Hello, everyone. I'm back in my natural surrounding of my little lovely books, which are not little. And just because I got that question, if these are all of my books, oh, sweetheart, you have seen nothing yet. So no, that of course are not everything of my books. So if you ever guessed, there are quite a lot of books in the background and all around it. Surrounding me. I love books and I buy them all the time. So yes, you're right, it's not a book presentation, it's again Salespiration time on the Feminist Economy page with me, Barbara, to our lovely next round of sales mindset and our international Salespiration version, because there's a German version always every Tuesday for your viewing pleasure. So sales mindset, next point, we're talking about how to prepare yourself for your sales. There's always a little bit of a mystical thing, and I always tell people that there is magic in preparation. A little background, if we don't know each other, I'm a trained mathematician. I'm also a trained psychologist, but that's why I'm called a behavioral mathematician. I also saw many kinds around of finance, but okay, now you have the background. There is magic in preparation. If you ever studied worry, something out of the STEM field, you know it's kind of the first semester you're just proving stuff which is already proven, so that prime numbers exist and stuff like that. So you get a certain kind of drill down, what is necessary steps you have to understand first, you have to take first, before you can go into heights, before you can go into a more creative mode and find new solutions for old problems. And math is kind of a very hard training set where you literally in the starting point always just, it's kind of years and years and years of preparation. And that's also, if you probably think now, right now she's talking about math. It doesn't matter, that's already, she's talking about sales, and now the other awful topic, math. Great, thanks for the communication. Stuck with me. And follow the train of thought I want to present you. If you were the most keen on math or STEM stuff probably in school or at university, there is that thing that if you don't understand the basics, it's kind of getting complicated on the long run. So if you don't have the basics down, you don't understand what's happening next step. It's getting more complicated over time and over time and over time. So to have down a good fundamental understanding and really understand your steps is very, very essential. Since most of us are not that keen on math and all that stuff, we try sometimes to forget that as a necessity for so many accomplishments we have over the years, where stuff gets complicated over time, and if your fundamental baseline isn't there, it will break down. So that's also the same if we think about sales mindset. There is a certain kind of steps you have to take to prep yourself for a good sales. And the most essential of preparation is the question, for what do I prepare? Do I prepare for success, or do I prepare for failure? Write that question down. For what do I prepare? Do I prepare myself for success, or do I prepare myself for failure? Sometimes that question isn't one you can answer very fast. Because like in the first use, of course, I'm preparing myself for success because I want to, I want the sales, I want the new client, and I want the money, because that's very obvious, and it's not that obvious in real life. Because if even on that very cognitive or rational level, you're telling yourself, yes, I want that, that doesn't mean that your inside is really doing that. What about that for you, the moments of resilience necessary in sales, so that you stick to the sales process, is a very hard one. You don't want to hear a no, or it makes you personally uncomfortable if a client declines your offer. So it's not like you can take it and say, no, I don't, client says no for good reasons, but it feels so personal. Probably it's not always, but probably you have one of these days, these days where it's just like, let's be honest, shit hit the fan. You're like, really, what's going to happen now? And On the other side, probably you're also in that position where you need the sales. So these kind of factors, very external factors, can be an indicator that you don't prepare for the success, but for the failure, because you don't want to take it on that you get another no. Yet you lost a client, which was never a client because the person was just a person of interest. But yes, there is power in words, but it's kind of that thing. So if you look at what you do, you get a good indication. So behavior speaks loud. Your behavior speaks very loud, louder than your motivation and your cognitive train of thought about what you're preparing for. So let's say you tell yourself, I'm preparing for sales success, but your behavior is you kind of push on to post something on social media. And even if you post something on social media, you don't prepare it well. You just like wing it. Even if it's not your professional time, you just wing it. Or you're not saying, hey, you're not really telling people outside in that world, that is now the time to fucking take your challenges on. You're not taking the words necessary for your clients to understand you. Or you don't take the telephone and phone someone up you already had a chat with. So you're doing probably just parts of it, but not really prepared. And with that mindset, that's now it's a good time to take charge of your life or your business. So your behavior speaks one language. Your motivation is kind of in between because, of course, everyone wants to work with clients and have money in the bank. And your rational side tells you we're preparing for success. So I'm a behavioral mathematician and a trained behavioral psychologist. So I'm not really into in your motivation. That's a kind of nice point, but I want to see your behavior, and your behavior speaks a loud and clear message to me. You prepare for failure. The problem is you will succeed with that. Your preparation for failure will change the timing of what you're doing, how you speak, what necessary steps you take, how much preparation you lay into your sales stuff, because never forget, your sales pitch is probably the only chance a possible client gets to figure out how well you are doing your job. Yes, with the digital sales strategy, there are many more. Like, have a look at our YouTube channel and have a look at that page. Of course, you will find more points, but it's still all sales, content, marketing stuff, which is the only point of reference next to kind of testimonials, but it's still not the same as that a client have an idea of how good you are at your job. Your sales and marketing is the only idea I get about how good you are at your job. And then you wing it? You will never do that, all. And the thing is, when I always ask my clients, why do you do that? Do you don't want the money in the bank? That's not the reason. The reason is normally that in this preparation step from yourself for what do I prepare, it's not obvious that I want to protect myself, that I don't want to take another no, that I don't want to take the necessary steps, that I still discuss sales, that it's for me still awful and totally unnecessary because freaking hell, people should see how good I am at my job. All that stuff in your mind is preparing yourself for failure. So yes, sales mindset is essential, but a little bit, again, a little bit different point of view. So how do you prepare yourself from a sales mindset perspective for success? First of all, of course, the rational cognitive side that I decide that I want to take myself on a journey for success. So yes, I'm going into with the mindset that people are interested in what I'm telling. I'm not going to tell myself the whole time, no, Barbara, that's boring. They don't want to hear that. No, they have better stuff to do. They don't have a sales problem. If I do that, I'm setting myself up for failure because my energy, you remember last time, will show up in that video if I'm behind the stuff I'm saying. So, big step. Also, I'm taking the time to preparation, really classical skills preparation on what can I tell you today, which will be hopefully helpful and finds you in the right time and space for you to hear that message that your sales mindset preparation is good and well. I also think about the content I'm presenting you. And if you watch both videos, so if you're able to speak both languages, German and English, the sales mindset on preparation I did in German is kind of the same and still different, because different languages carry a different energy and also a different proposal. At the moment, if you are English speaking, the only way to work with me is on one-on-one. If you're German speaking, you have much more possibilities to work with us. There are group programs, there are masterminds and stuff like that. So mastermind, if there would be enough English speaking people, we can set it up too. But you know, the normal thing is for the English speaking crowd, we normally, till now, we only have done one-on-one consulting part. Yes, there are coming up some stuff. Hold your horses. Yes, there will be group program and more digital stuff for you also. But so I have to think about that when I'm preparing my sales videos for you. What product do I have in mind? That's a necessary skill preparation set. And also I have to be comfortable to have that in mind, probably present it to you. And here, pro tip, don't ever pitch at the end of a video. Never, never. So if you're ever planning, doesn't matter the format, stage, video, blog, podcast, doesn't matter. If you pitch your product or your service at the end, it's just bad sales. Do direct, do indirect sales, but never ever pitch at the end. It's just bad, because people do what? Well, they see I'm not talking anymore, they stop the video and they don't hear it. So never sales pitch at the end. So if you set up yourself for success, it also sometimes means that you realize, okay, that's probably just not the day, or you have to get yourself in the mindset of, I don't have a chance, because like my devil with the buzz cut and the glasses, yes, Regina, there's a plan and I have to stick to that. And I told her I'm doing that video CET time 4 o'clock today, so I'm stuck with it. It doesn't matter what my life would look like. I have to do it. If you have a little bit more flexibility on your schedule, probably it's sometimes, if you really understand I'm not in the mindset to do it, I'm not in the kind of good position to do it, probably skip it or do it to a different time. But don't skip it all the time, because then again, your behavior speaks a quite loud language, which means you're setting up yourself for failure. So that essential step is something we kind of miss in so many parts of our life, but we're talking sales, but it's also because, like, I'm chief of business also, not only sales. It's also for, what do you prepare your business? Do you set your business up for failure or your business up for success? Because if you step it up, and even if your first half or first 2 quarters or last quarter was just a shit show, let's be honest, that was Happy New Year. Whenever you watch the video, yes, we have the 2nd of July of 2020, but let's be honest, that first half year, that wasn't a year, that was like 5 years. So Happy New Year to everyone. Let's start the version 2 of 2020. But to do that, you have to have also kind of that, for what I'm setting up myself. Do I set up my failure because, like, the outside world tells me we will not succeed because it's a crisis? Yes, it's a double crisis. Global pandemic and racist crisis, or however you will call it, that we are finally talking about it and trying to change it, and also the economic crisis. So 3, or isn't there even more coming? So it doesn't matter. But if you're in that position of a mindset that you set up yourself for failure, which only means one thing: you will set up yourself and won't take the necessary steps. And that's the whole shebang about mindset. Why mindset is so important is you have to take the necessary steps. And your mindset can screw you up by taking the necessary steps. So that little question about, for what do you prepare, is so essential. And don't answer it fast. Don't do it like, oh, I'm here for the success part. Over the thousands of companies, yes, I'm 4-digit in, I consulted over the last 20 years. And there's so many CEOs, or whatever your self-description is, superheroes of business. I never met really one who never struggled in parts. Some parts, bigger parts, but especially in crisis situation. Yes, it's my second big crisis. That there is that point where you try to protect yourself, where you try to sometimes even protect your time, your planner, so that it don't get overcrowded, so you have time for yourself, for your family and everything else. But if there is nothing in the fridge, remember, Yeah, and even if the fridge is full, you have to think about the next steps, and especially in economical crisis times, you have to think about the next 18 months. So word of advice, Happy New Year, and think about the next 18 months. Where do your revenues come from the next month, the next 18 months? Do you have clients who pay you regularly? Do you need new clients on the constants? What is your product portfolio? But if you set yourself up for failure, even in just parts of that decision-making process, you probably won't see the gold which is already there. The possible client who just like needs a little nudge, a little bit of understanding that now is the time to work with you. A little bit of okay, instead of paying it in full, let's make a paying plan or something. Or I have that product in my desk or lying around. I can put that out there. I can make a little bit of a twist, or like most of the stuff at the moment is I cannot pay these high prices. But probably you have a one-on-one program, you could probably change up very fast into a group program where like get the same or a little even more money and get the price point down a little bit, stuff like that. But if you don't set yourself up with a mindset of I'm going here for the win in, and even if the win means I'm taking a hell lot of no's, I'm still on it, because there will be an end game, and it's, you know, depending where you watch, call it soccer or call it football, it's just one point you need, one goal in front. But it's a decision, especially a decision about that you reflect on yourself, on what you tell yourself, and to figure out what you really do, always look at the behavior. There's a very little, not the most famous experiment of behavioral psychology, but a little nice experiment. I'm going to tell you, and then sending you off to the rest of your week. The experiment was set up with children at the age between 3 and around 4.5, because at that age, children are very honest, and you can read very much in their face, much less, the older people get, you can less read in their faces. So the setup, think about two parents sitting there with their child, and the child is getting aggravated, and it's getting noisy, and it's getting, you know, I want something, and the parents try to figure out what it is. But it's a setup as an experiment. And after that setup and like testing out what the child wanted, the psychologist talks to the child and now figures out what they wanted. And there will be one moment when that child will light up that smirky face with like, yeah, let's say they wanted a kind of Coca-Cola or so. So they will be that whiny child till they get that Coca-Cola. And even children at that age can tell you the story, no, they wanted something else, but their face will tell the truth. And that's why that age is so honest, because they already know to lie. It's not like lying in adult age. It's more like a kind of a storytelling. It's not really that children have it with the truth, because the truth concept is way too big, because in their forefront, they wanted probably the game or the phone dad had in his hand. But they really wanted the Coca-Cola, and you will see it in their face. And that's where that whole perception of the behavior speaks louder comes from, and also why it is so essential to understand that process, that even as that little child, we sometimes tell ourselves one story and our behavior speaks a total different story. So take that question. For what do I'm preparing here? My whole business, my sales. If you need some more relationship advice, you can take that too, but there are other professionals out there who will help you with that. But business relationships are our forte here. So even think about like stuff of, what am I preparing myself here? If I decline digitalization, if I decline working on my processes, or bashing stuff, for what do I'm setting up myself? For what do I'm setting up my company here? For success or for failure? And then look at your words you're speaking and the actions and behaviors you take. So that was our little round of sales mindset. And yes, Wolfgang, of course, I started when I was 5. No, I started consulting early on at the university, and that was 20 years ago. But yes, thank you. I started when I was 5. I'm a genius child. Doesn't matter. So Any more questions, any remarks? And as always, share the love, like it, share it, whatever. If you want a special sales inspiration, doesn't matter in German or in English, other languages I will not do. I'm very, very sorry. But if you want something special or something, whatever you want, just write it, write to us, write it in the comments. I hope you like our English versions too. And yeah, that was kind of it. I want to wish you another happy new year. Enjoy your second half of 2020, our version 2. Smash it, rock it, save it. There is somewhere I posted a link if you need help from saving, rocking, or coming up way ahead out of that crisis. You can always book a brain date, even if it's at the moment in German, the language description. Of course, I will speak English with you. So if you need something for that, or feminist economy, we're here to help and happy to help. And yeah, see you soon in our weekly Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday episodes. And if you're German speaking, don't forget, come to our Project Einhörner, Unicorns. We will follow up with the English speaking group soon, but give us some time to work on our backlog. And yeah, that's it. Have a great start into 2020 version 2 and see you soon. Bye.